My name is Chris Claremont. You're watching Omni X-Men and the second issue.
Yo, what is up, everybody? Happy Tuesday. We're back with another episode of Omni X-Men. We're breaking down issue 168. That's right. We're returning to the main series. We've kind of gone off a little bit with our king size annuals and some of our Marvel graphic novels and things like that over the past couple of weeks. But we're back. We are back, and we're back with a really fun and interesting issue, bringing it back to Kitty Pryde as we last left off, as she had got kicked off the team officially from Professor X. So we have some words about that. But yeah, really excited for tonight. Appreciate everybody who is watching, whether you're here now or on the replay. Of course, with me, as always, my co-host and good friend, John from John's Comics with Kids. What is up? Oh, man, he's got the
absolutely a jerk.
Yes.
This guy.
So
Professor
perfect.
Xavier guy.
What a shirt. What a great shirt. Is that from our friends Justin and Alicia? Is that
it is, yeah.
Awesome.
If I couldn't wear it tonight, I don't know when to wear it.
It's true. Yeah, that's right.
It had to be worn for this issue.
Shout out to the Ex-Wife podcast. Yeah, so what's going on, John?
I mean, surviving the rain and we're just getting hail, like just drilled by hail. So hopefully it doesn't affect the entertainment we got planned, because we got a pretty spectacular guest tonight.
As you say that, I'm waiting for your internet just to be like and just shut
frozen.
Down. It'll happen, folks. It'll happen.
That's fair.
Yeah. We also have a special guest with us tonight. It is her second appearance on the show this season. Our good friend Candis. What is up, Candis?
Hey guys! Woo! So happy to be back.
Yeah, heck yeah. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Cool. Good. Very good. Appreciate you jumping back on with us. And I know you've been sticking around, reading each issue and watching all of our shenanigans along the way. So we appreciate all the support.
Yeah, it's been the best way to read it. I like being able to interact with you guys and also like talk about it and on these streams and everything. So I've been really enjoying it, especially because like every single issue has been my first time reading it. So I'm excited to talk about this one because I've been waiting for this one for weeks.
Yeah. No, I'm glad that you picked this one. It's perfect. I feel like right down your alley with the fandom that you have for Kitty Pryde. So yeah. Awesome. Well, very cool. Before we get into everything, just want to remind everybody to stick around after the show because we will have our Q&A. That's, our trivia questions based on last issue, which was over on John's channel. Make sure that if you are not following John, you certainly should be subbed up to him as we'll do our next episode over there. And of course, make sure you're following Candis as well. I put her information in the description below. These questions, as we always say, will get you on the list for our big giveaway prize pool at the very end of the show, end of the season in June, coming up here. And I also want to give a shout out to our good friend Tim Stacey. He is officially our artist, our featured artist of the show, where we're going to be giving away a commission piece from him coming up here. John, we got to start thinking about what we want drawn out here.
I know we've been really neglecting this.
It's a lot of options. It's tricky. It's tricky. So yeah, make sure you follow Tim. I put his information and his Linktree link in the description below. He's a really great guy, good person in the community, amazing artist. So definitely check out his stuff. And I'm looking forward to seeing what he comes up with. Let's say a quick hello to the chat and then we'll jump into it. So of course, got our good friend Ryan kicking it off, saying hello to the whole crowd. I always like that he includes Rachel Dinners and Diana Ross. He's so consistent with that. He goes, I agree. Kitty Pryde is Kitty Pryde, Professor X is a jerk. When I told him I'm a dance addict, he put me in a 12-step program. Let's see. We got our good friend Adam makes stuff up. What is up, Adam? Good to see you, man. We also have our good friend John Big Daddy Ross in the house with us. What's going on, John? Another John. Let's see. We got Jackson Roy Kirk hanging out with us tonight as well. Good to see you, Roy Kirk. Let's see, scrolling through. I think I got everyone at the moment. So appreciate you guys hanging out. Make sure you smash that like button if you haven't already. let's, before I even show the book and everything else, let's ask a couple questions. I know that we've been doing this, and Candis, I know we asked you a few questions last time. John, do you have anything in particular that you want to throw Candis's way this time?
Yeah, I don't know that we did some of these, so I'm going to try to cover some new ground here.
Okay.
Do you have any favorite mutant villains? Anybody that you're like, I root for, like I can appreciate, I like the style or the power structure or whatever of this villain, a villain from the mutant world?
Oh, that's so hard because I feel like I only know like a lot of the basic ones. I mean, even though he's like sometimes he's good, sometimes he's bad, it's always Magneto.
Yeah, correct answer.
Yeah.
I feel like just classic.
Right.
I do like though that he is sometimes like depending which story he is, and he can be more of a good guy, sometimes he's not. Like I kind of like that. It's like it changes it up, and he's not so like black and white.
Right. Absolutely.
Very
do
true.
you have any like favorite covers from the X-Men that you've seen? Any that maybe you own? You're like, oh, I had to get this one, a cover that's like, this one speaks to me.
Well, this was an exciting one that I had. I actually have Chris was able to sign it for me, which was really cool. So Paul back-to-back issues, actually, when I won one of his giveaways, and I think it was a Fantastic Four, the magazine size one. Then he also kindly sent to me I can't remember the number, but we just read it. The one with where it's very deceiving, where Professor X is like, we think he's dead.
Yeah.
It's such an iconic cover. I wish it was more related. Like when I actually got to read it, it was very exciting, but then I was like, oh, not what I thought. But it's still like, I feel like that's such an iconic, of course, like superhero comic pose. So that's definitely one of my favorites.
Nice. 167. That's actually technically right before.
I was just doing the math to get back to it.
Yeah. I also really liked the last the second Dracula issue cover that we did. I really liked that one as well.
Oh yes.
Those Dracula covers are so freaking good.
John just shared a 9.8 of that book.
I don't know. Somebody got a raw copy, and I was like, now I gotta go after this.
I'm like, oh, I got this for $2. He's like, hold on, let me crap all over you, Justin. It's amazing find.
Slab down.
That's so good.
Very cool. Well, yeah, like I said, go ahead.
We got a couple of friends in the chat we missed out on.
I was just gonna highlight them. Yeah, I see some more regulars in the chat here. Our good friend Chet Scotland.
Thank you. Hello.
Showing some love. He goes,
I just read the second part.
He's showing some love
for me.
We also have our good friend Daryl hanging out in the chat. I just saw him live a couple hours ago hanging out with Morb and Paul. So good to see you, Daryl. Thanks for hanging out. Good stuff. All right, cool. Candis, thanks for answering some of the questions. Make sure you guys are following Candis. Like I said, I'll put her information in the description below. Right now, Candis and I are doing some buddy reading for Spider-Woman, the volume 1 Spider-Woman stuff. So,
and that's been pretty fun so far.
We gotta catch up after this.
Yes, I still need to catch up on the last issues that we're reading.
I think it's to Candis's point earlier. I think some of the fun of this is making it more social, because comics can be a very like antisocial. I'm just reading my book in my corner here, doing my thing.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think it's kind of like going and seeing a comedy with all of your friends. You're gonna like it more and laugh more in the theater because you're just together. It's the same with sharing the joy of a story with a friend.
Yep.
That's absolutely so true. And then usually I just leave Justin like a bunch of voice notes and then ask him a million questions. Like, okay, now you have to explain this to me.
That's great.
It's like a little audiobook.
Yes.
I love it.
All right, let me see. I almost forgot to upload the thing here. The slideshow. Here we go.
JP says, I was going to comment about being sorry for being late with my show running over, especially with Candis on the show, but then I realized this is Justin's run long show, so I just have 2+ hours to hang out.
Just right on time.
I need to just put that in the title, the run long show. Yeah, exactly, JP. Okay, here we go. Got it. There we go. Boom. Oh, let me change my background here. All right, so first and foremost, this cover. I'm really excited that we are getting to the point here and covering this particular issue. I know that we were holding it up before. Got my issue in a nice Mylar cover here. This one stands out to me as one that I've always been curious about what this story is about. So I'm going to pass it to you guys. John, what are your initial thoughts here with this Kitty Pryde cover?
I love a good like solo cover where you just really get story. And I mean, she's got the torn costume, the look on her face, so good. This crazy spotlight. She clearly looks like trapped in a corner somehow. I'm just like, what is happening? This is absolutely, to Justin's like criteria. Is this a book I would pick up off the shelf? Yes, I would pick this up. What's happening to Kitty Pryde? I gotta know.
Yes.
This highlights all the skill of Paul Smith, right? The ability to capture an emotion on a face, and what a fun, like, dynamic pose. So I love this cover.
Yep, I'm with you. Candis, what about you? What were your initial thoughts on this cover?
Yeah, I really like this one. Just, I mean, first of all, because we're getting it to literally spotlight Kitty Pryde. I honestly think this would be one that I would want to pick up. First of all, just the colors, even though they're very simple, just like the very like simple primary colors. Like I really like that blue, and then her costume is contrasting against that. Looks really cool. And I just like the little details, including like just like the little strand that's like falling. They didn't make her look too bad here, so that's a bonus.
We have seen some questionable faces from.
And right after this slide, especially. And then it's just kind of like I think I've seen this one before, like before reading this, and I was always the same, like kind of wondering like what it was about. And then even the second time, like kind of going through, I was like, man, you could actually like think that like, did Wolverine like slash her or something like with the claw marks, or what's going on here? So I think it's just a really fun one, and I agree. Like I feel like we've had so many covers that were also just maybe too busy, and I think sometimes just simple is better, especially if it can like literally like showcase a character.
Totally agree. Yeah, well said. And this also kind of reminds me, like paying homage to what is it, 141 Days of Future Past, like seeing Wolverine. It's Wolverine and Kitty, right, on the front cover,
where they're like in front of all the like the wanted signs.
So it's almost like her again, only she's her present day self, and it's not as dark and gloomy as that one is, but it's almost like a zoomed in version though. Kind of reminds me. So yeah, well said. Couple things here in the chat I wanted to highlight before we go any further. Ryan said, X Memory, as a childhood collector, the comic store would put a display book in front of the short box, and this X-Men 168 cover was an X-Men display book for them at one point. That's really cool. Something to stick to. I could totally see. Yeah, I mean, this is a very memorable book, even just the bright yellows and simplicity around it. Yes, JP, or let Chet know about it. Hey, big station to Big Herminio, what is up, brother? Just saw him live earlier today as well, doing his thing as usual. Good stuff there. Let's see. Oh, and Chet,
we said hi to Bobby already. I don't remember if we said hi to Bobby.
I missed Bobby. Let's see. Adam said Mega Mesh, and you tore right through it. Yeah. What have you been doing, Kitty? Yeah. There you go, chat with the or. Absolutely. Where's Bobby? Oh, here he is. There we go. Station Bobby.
Hello.
Good to see you, brother. Thanks for hanging out as well. Everybody saying hi to everybody. Did I miss? Classic. Agreed, Daryl. 100%. All right. I think I got everyone at the moment. Cool. So let's get going here. Let's jump into the next bit here. So we got this opening scene here. This shirt that we've been talking about, Professor Xavier is a jerk, as she turns around pointing as she walks through the door or out the door. She's hanging out with Ileana as they are taking a little stroll, and it's pretty cold outside from what it looks like. We get this beautiful artwork here, her kind of turning around sideways. Now, again, we're coming off of an issue that we just had announced that Professor X said, I think it's time for you to come off the team because you're too young. It's not safe for you. You still need training. He would feel bad if something were to happen. So he wants to put her on the team with the New Mutants, which we were introduced to last episode, or 167. So that was kind of where we left off with that before we went into all these annuals and stuff. So now we have her here. She's very upset, clearly. And Ileana kind of putting her in her place a little bit, saying, hey, you're acting like a little kid, and they're treating you like one. So there you go. One thing I want to highlight before I pass it to you both is The far panel towards the middle, the closer up to their faces. I love the fact that as she's complaining about how bad she has it and everything being kicked off, Ileana pulls the demonic the demonic limbo card. Saying, you think that's bad? Try to be in a demonic limbo for many years. Like, if I was Ileana and I heard anyone complaining, I would literally drop that every single time.
Right. Like, top that.
Yeah. So really, tell me more about how they messed up your coffee order. Yeah, tell me more.
I feel like that's a card that you could definitely continue to play. At some point, people are like, I get it.
Yeah.
Years in limbo, like nothing I do matters anymore. But come on.
Exactly. Don't even try.
Yeah,
if I had room for a GIF here, I was gonna put like the young Frankenstein. Could be worse. Could be raining, and then it starts raining. So and at the very bottom, I'll just note that we do see this like shadowy figure kind of looking out the window, and it talks a little bit about somebody unaware or watching them unaware, which, by the way, this has happened like 3 times now, that these girls are in the mansion or around the mansion and they're being watched by something or someone.
Usually it's that jerk Professor X.
Usually
Who I thought it was, and I'm like, I thought it was there I can tell what it is, but I like originally thought it was like, I don't know, like a chair or something that was like in the way. Like,
it could.
I don't know. Like, I
totally
expected that from him. So
like a villainous, like he's gonna spin around and be like,
Exactly.
yeah, it's me.
Yeah. No, so I will say I totally blanked on this, like as I was reading through, and again, I'm not one to like really leap ahead in things, but just like reading it, I don't know if I rushed it or what, but I was just like, oh, okay, like another alien, some sort of alien. Here we go. Like
that I also thought,
you're not
wrong.
Yeah. So I was like, well, we'll see it, whatever they're getting into this time. But all right, so John, I'll pass it to you. What were your initial thoughts here? This splash page that we're looking at, and then kind of going into.
I love this splash page. I think it's hilarious. I think it's so funny. I like her energy. I like the face intensity. I know she doesn't have a nose. She just has nostrils. This comes up a lot with Paul Smith. Sometimes he just leaves the lines off because the nose is so simple and subtle. He just skips it. I like the hair flow. I like the finger, the ski jacket, the parka or whatever.
Yeah,
I love it. And the font on the Professor Xavier is a red jerk.
Yep.
All of it works for me. And like you said, the banter, the Ileana and Kate Pride banter is always good. Yep. Hey, I'll put my finger where I want it. You can't tell me.
Bobby says he digs the ski jacket. There you go.
I do too.
Definitely,
I'd wear that.
Candis, what about you? What were your thoughts on some of this?
Yeah, I agree. I really like the splash page. I'm not a fan of the face, because that's just, I feel like 50% of her panels like just don't look good. But it's okay. We understand she's angry. It's fine. But yeah, I was like taking a look at the whole outfit, everything like that. I mean, again, I just like that it's another like one spotlighting Kitty,
right?
And such an iconic bubble.
Yeah, right.
Too. Yep. But yeah, and then I like the whole conversation between her and Ileana. Like once I read that, I was like, oh damn, she got you. Like you can't top that. So I thought it was really good just to like someone to like put her in her place, I guess. And then so I wasn't sure who was in that corner. Like I said, I thought it was Professor X. Then I read it 2 times, and the second time I finally realized who it was, and I was like, because I thought it was an alien. Now I'm pretty sure it wasn't.
I mean, it kind of is.
I mean,
it is alien,
but because like later, like actually, to be honest, like kept thinking who it was the alien until like finally the second time I read it, and I was like, oh,
yeah,
that's who it was. But yeah, I think it's a strong opening for sure.
Yeah, agreed, absolutely. I have to highlight this, John. We're making this shirt.
I'm saying
Jasper Kirk,
novel idea.
Ileana brand T-shirt.
Yes.
Unless you spent your formative years in a demonic limbo, don't talk to me. Yeah, I absolutely love that.
So good.
I spent my formative years in a demonic limbo, and all I got was this T-shirt.
Yes,
that's
great.
Yes.
All I got was this magical sword.
Yeah, seriously. We got Shop for Comics in the house as well. What is up, Shop? Thanks for hanging out with us. That is so great. All right, let's keep jumping into this. So, this is a little bit more obvious, I think, with some of these panels that are here. It's still a close up though. Didn't hit me at first when I first read through this. So
Definitely
yeah,
didn't.
no, I'm with you. So we see a little bit more of a glimpse. It talks a little bit. You know what it was too is I think I was just so into like the words and how this thing is hungry, it hasn't eaten, all this stuff. So just kind of building on this like evil idea maybe. Meanwhile, we have this interesting discussion between Wolverine and Nightcrawler. I think these are some of my favorite moments in general. Is these two talking about. Especially just talking about certain topics in general, what's right and what's wrong. And in this case, they're just kind of talking a little bit more about, is Professor wrong for kicking her off the team? Nightcrawler kind of taking his side in the beginning on this and saying, and he even says like, I'm trying to just see both sides of things because he does feel bad for her. But at the same time, he's like, is it, maybe she is, maybe it's just not safe for her. It's how would we feel if something bad happened to her? Maybe he's not wrong for doing that. Meanwhile, Wolverine makes some pretty strong points on his side as to why he thinks that, ultimately she's fine to be on the team. So they kind of go back and forth. I am curious what your guys' thoughts are. And Candis, I'll pass it to you first. Generally speaking, I mean, I know you're a Kitty Pryde fan, but if you really did try to consider both sides between her safety, being young, versus the things she's already done and knowing that, she does have these great abilities, like where do you kind of fall with this? Like, or if you were part of the group, do you think that, there's some reason behind or some good points behind what Professor X is taking her off the team for?
Yeah, so I really enjoyed this dialogue for sure. Like it really actually did make me think because they bring up a lot of good points, especially like Wolverine bringing up the whole thing of like, well, like 12-year-olds used to go to the Navy, like, and I'm like that's true. But I'm really torn because like I could see it like if I was like, yeah, her friend or her parent, I'd be like, oh, like I want to be protective of you, but then at the same time, it's like I feel like people that have abilities are going to be kind of in danger no matter what, at least for what I know a lot of things I watch and stuff. Like, it's just like, it just follows you and that like you were given these like gifts for a reason too. So I don't know. I think just like Kitty has really proved herself in the past that I think I'm leaning to more her being part of the team because she's been really able to make an impact and she's only going to grow with age.
Yeah, no, that's good points on both ends. Quick shout out to Adam. Take care, brother. Happy birthday to your son. Appreciate you, man. John, what about you? Like, do you buy into any of this in terms of, the reasoning, even as Nightcrawler is kind of pointing out on his concerns of her being, young and it's risky?
I think the beauty of whenever these two are debating is that nobody's really wrong and nobody's really right. And they're just raising a lot of great perspectives on things. And I think they do a really good job, at least Claremont on the writing side, especially a really good job of giving them distinctly different personalities, but also the ability to listen and communicate well in the sequence.
Yeah.
So it's happened a few times. And I think it's always been very enjoyable because as a reader, we can understand whether it's pacifism versus, Wolverine, I got to kill everybody.
Yeah.
Or whether it's something like this, where they're really talking about a kid and their place in all of this. If it was up to me at this particular moment in the comic, she's earned it. She's earned it. She's time and again proven that she belongs. The moment to tell her she's not on this team and should be a New Mutant happened in 129. It happened like way back, like 40 issues ago. That was your moment to say you're too young. We're going to train you up and then put you on the team. Before you had her put the spacesuit on and climb on the outside of the ship.
I was just thinking
when you're about to die and save everybody's
binary scene,
right? Yeah. Before you sent her into these incredibly dangerous situations to rescue and save you all.
Yeah,
that was the time. Now you've done it. She's already been through the gauntlet, right? She's been through this hellish fire of life.
Yeah,
I don't know that now you can take that back. It's like closing Pandora's box after you open it. Doesn't work.
Yeah. Agreed.
So true. Yeah, and also like to your point, I also really like I really like the quote from Wolverine where he says like a decision can be logical and sensible, but still wrong. I really like that because I really feel like that summarizes it, but like the debate that they're having.
Absolutely. Great.
Yeah, that's a great line. JP said, realizing magic needs to be higher on my mutant list. Never read New Mutants, but she always puts everyone in their place. Yeah, same here, JP. I definitely need to do a little backtracking on reading some more magic.
And
I love her
around here, JP, because at the end of this season, we finished this omnibus with the Magic and Storm Ileana miniseries, which is highly underrated as far as reading quality goes, but also underrated as a key because it's when she first gets the soul sword, she first gets into this perspective of this new persona she's going to have as a new mutant, because she doesn't start as a new mutant. She becomes one of the new mutants. She works up into being a key member of the team and then gains the name Magic. That comes later too. So highly recommend the miniseries. That
sounds good.
And we're going to have Jennifer from Comics Will Break Your Heart as our guest.
Correct.
Makes it even better. So yeah, I can't wait for that. William Bird, first of all, good to see you, William. Second of all, he says, last we see Logan in Uncanny for a while and off to star in his limited series. Yeah, good point. So another part that's taking place here is you could see Logan, putting on his jacket and his hat. He's, promised to take the girls to the airport, the girls to the airport on his way out. He says he's going on kind of a little, mini vacation, but he's going, up north from where he was from before. So, yeah, that's another thing that I don't know if I really realized that, but as you point that out, it makes sense. I know that he goes to the limited series that we're going to break down later. That kind of saddens me though, if we're not going to see him for
and it's a few issues before the limited series starts. I want to say 4. So the next 4 issues don't really have Logan in them. And then we of course get the 4-issue mini.
Yeah. Chat here, he's saying some shenanigans. She's a child, he said. He says I'm with Professor X. Oh, okay, interesting. Still needs to sit on a bench and grow and learn behind the starting quarterback. Interesting.
I mean, you could put that on a list of quotes I will never say. Professor X, I agree with him. Like, it's just not going to be something that comes up a lot for me. Also, any analogies to football, probably not going to.
That's
either one, both of those.
The sports ball.
Love sports ball. Sports ball is great.
All right, let's keep this going here. So next up, we get a little bit of some Danger Room action for Professor X, as he's kind of had a bit of a wild story more recently as well. From what we've learned, and they kind of recap it briefly here. I think they do it nicely too. Is that within Lilandra's thoughts, she's kind of explaining again that his body was cloned. Because of the events that had happened, recently in the last 167, which, again, as Candis pointed out, the cover is kind of false in a way. We talked about it because they don't get that scene, and instead he gets a new body and for a moment at least can walk. And even here now, he's kind of training again to have an understanding of how to walk with this new body. But we quickly kind of get a better understanding that his mind has been so adapted to the pain that he's had to use to block out because of his legs. And so it's so much to the point where he actually just can't walk. Like his mind almost won't let him in that regard. And so it takes up so much concentration just to be able to do that. So we're seeing a lot of that here. And then of course, towards the end of these 3 pages, Lilandra also talks about how she's going to get revenge, or essentially stop her crazy sister from doing what she's been doing, and she's going to leave with the Starjammers shortly to do it. And she actually asks Professor X to go with her, and he realizes, like, my place is here. I want to be. He just got all these new students, the new mutants, and doesn't want to leave them hanging. He feels this responsibility to stay, as does she, to really save the galaxy in a way, because her sister Deathbird is just going nuts. So interesting little dilemma that they're in. It seems like they can never be, they were together at one point in outer space, and even that didn't quite work out. So John, what are your thoughts here on like the cloning and him having a new body essentially, and him attempting to do the thing that he hasn't done in a very long time, which is walk?
I mean, it's pre-Hickman, right? Where he was the first X-Men to be cloned and brought back.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's a comic book trope, right? It's a. I know people joking about the clone saga with Spider-Man. This is a Xavier clone saga.
Yeah.
I think it was just a chance to take a character and reshape him. We'd seen Claremont doing it with Magneto, and I think he's trying to do the same with Xavier. Get him out of the wheelchair. Try to fix some of the mistakes of the character in the past and show him in a new light for a little while. So I think Claremont's done this a few times with characters from the original X-Men series, as he's been reshaping them into functioning characters in his vision for the X-Men. So I think he's really successful, like we saw last week with Magneto, maybe less so with Xavier. I think Xavier's a tough character to get right.
Yeah. Roy Kirk says, he just wants a hug. There you go.
He wants his own bird woman.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Candis, what about you? What were your thoughts here? And do you see the dilemma between the two of them? Do you think maybe he should go off and travel the galaxy again with Lilandra, or should she stay with him and be at the school, or what?
Yeah, so this whole thing was just like really interesting because like going into the series, I didn't know this was gonna be something, of course, that was like gonna happen. And it's so true that like even in real life, like how powerful your mind is when, and if that's it's powerful, how you feel pain or how you just deal with things in general. So I just thought that just really resonated. So I can definitely I feel the struggle there. So I definitely feel for him. I also like the little sweatband. It's also yeah, exactly. I mean, a little bit of music was playing, and then like once he falls, it's like it cuts out the music.
Little boxing montage you could put there.
A little bit. But yeah, like another thing I didn't know is I didn't know that he was gonna have like this I guess girlfriend. And so it's been really interesting seeing like their dynamic together. And I don't know, like it's really tough, like again, like trying to figure out what's the right thing.
That's what you haven't really read the Lilandra stuff from
no
the last season, right?
So this is it's all new to me, and so
got it. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know if I know enough yet to like make a decision, but just like fair. But although this is just like a thing that I thought was funny, but just I was like reading through and it's all serious and everything, and then like some of the dialogue was just funny because like you see her running to him and she's like, "Beloved, are you all right?" And I was like, oh man. And I was like, I don't think like if I was like talking to like that to my boyfriend, like he would take me very seriously. Like that's literally what I couldn't like. I was like rereading it on the train and I almost started laughing. I was like,
I dare you. The next time your boyfriend falls down, I dare you to run to him and say, "Beloved, are you all right?" I wanted the look on his face to be photo. You run with your phone up to him when you do it.
Yeah, but yeah, that took me out for like a second. But I mean, I do like seeing like this relationship, like that's a non like student teacher type relationship. So I don't honestly know what's the right thing, but I did like seeing like more of their dynamic in the relationship.
Nice. He wants to get physical. Yeah, there it is. Do a little dance, John.
One of the things I do like about Charles and Lilandra is this like star-crossed lovers across galaxies kind of thing, where they both are very similar and they're in very similar situations, and so you can see them caring for each other and sympathizing with each other, but they're both people of responsibility, and so they make the responsible choice most of the time. But like sometimes it's nice to see them both understand this is going to be what has to happen and regretting it.
Yeah, it's a great point.
Yes, Chet, I'm very ready. Chet, I'm very ready.
Quick hello to Kevin, Entropy in Comics. Good to see you, my man. Good to see you. Let's see. Yeah, JP says, yes, go away. Those kids be better of being mentored by someone else. Yeah, there you go. Shots
You're not
fired.
wrong.
Shots fired.
Maybe you're right.
All right, let's keep this going here. So we have we quickly change scenes again where we get to see what's her name? Hunter. Why can't I remember
Stevie?
Stevie Hunter and her dance. We actually just saw this in God Loves Man Kills. Got to see her for a little bit when there was a bit of a fight scene with Kitty Pryde and one of the other students. Seeing them there, I love. Well, one, it shows Kitty Pryde. She keeps messing up on the dance that she should know very well from what Stevie has projected. She's what's going on with you? Clearly there's something wrong. And it's her still complaining, still being upset. And Stevie's not having it. She's like, you're going to complain like that? You take it elsewhere. She's like, I don't want to hear it. You're here to dance, and toughen up. And really, she makes a good point. Like, if you are really that bothered, why don't you just talk to Professor X? He's, someone that you could talk to about this kind of stuff. And, and within reason, maybe, figure something out. So I like that there was that little bit there. Of course, then we kind of shift gears for a second over to Storm, who is outside, and so I paused because I was trying to think of when this is. So first, she's like embracing nature.
Do you have like a gratuitous nudity sign, like a little flashing, like gratuitous nudity?
Yeah. So this is what she does, though. She especially when she's outside, it's just like, when she's back in her homeland, she's just like, very much one with Mother Nature. So, but of course, when that happens, a storm comes through, and it's not one that she has created. Essentially, she's kind of questioning what's happening here, and I was questioning like what's happening here, because she's like, my teeth chattering, I'm cold. She's like, but my body's immune to the temperature variations. So she's really thrown off by this, and I was too, actually, because we don't really get much more from this moment on, and for Storm, at least at this time. So love the panels, love the close up, for faces and stuff like that. So John, what are your thoughts on kind of some of these scenes that we've kind of gone through? Stevie kind of putting Kitty in her place a little bit as well, and then shifting gears over to Storm.
I like the discussions. I think the Kitty gets a lot of great advice and has a lot of great mentors to draw from. I think it's one of the great things about that character all through this series. Yeah. I am questioning why Ileana has a pimp cane in the middle of her dance class, and then Stevie takes it away from her. So panel number 1, if you look, Ileana's sitting there with a pimp cane. I don't know what she's doing with it. Panel number 2, Ileana still holds it down here. Yeah. Panel number 3, Stevie's got it now. I don't know how she just took it, and she's threatening Kitty with the pimp cane. And then the last time we see it is Stevie leaning on it. It's the upper middle panel. She's just kind of leaning on the cane. I don't know where this cane came from. It's got like a gold cap. It's very fancy looking. I don't get the pimp cane. I don't know where it came from, but I guess it's part of the dance class. I don't know if it's one of those tools that like she hits it on the ground to keep the beat. I don't know what the function is in the dance class, but there it is.
Unless it's like a baton or something, like who knows?
But there you go. So you guys can all enjoy that. I promise those of you watching, I will have a question next time about the pimp cane. You better be ready for that. The answer to the question might be pimp cane. I'm not sure.
There it is. Aggressively relaxing.
Look at JP says pimp cane 100% a question next week. Be ready, everyone.
He knows. I like aggressively saying I was given the same speech to my dancer.
It might be Stevie's cane, Jackson or Kirk, but she's walking without it the first few times we see her.
Yeah, I don't.
Ileana's got it. I know she has it. I just was not. So it might be her cane, but then she's like, she's got it all of a sudden. I would love to know if anybody. And right now, Chet is typing a paragraph, and he's saying, "John, come on, that Stevie has this."
There you go, Kingpin. For me. It's Kingpin's cane.
That's all he wrote. Stevie needs the cane. Come on, Chet. Do better.
Do better. Yes,
cane. He wrote Cane, not Cane. I didn't even see it. He wrote
first.
Cane.
He did.
Yeah.
First appearance of the pimp cane, yes, it should add it. Definitely add it to Wikipedia.
So two other things though. I love the bottom middle panel of the blue background. It's very simple background, not a lot of detail. I love the blue, black, white style of it. It's like wintry, stark winter. It looks amazing.
Yeah, agreed.
And third, this is a rare statement from me, but I don't know that I needed the gratuitous nudity to sell this plot point. Like I get that they're trying to talk to us about Storm's powers and what's going on with her since everything that she's been through in the Brood storyline. It just felt unnecessary to me. Like I'm not a hater, but it's just, we've talked before about the over sexualization of some of the female characters, and this ticks all those boxes for me of, but why?
It's like reaching. It's very much reaching. Yeah, agreed.
I mean, she could have just had her costume on underneath and just had the coat to keep her. Like, I get it, but like, And then one of my favorite non-Uncanny issues is called X-Men Unlimited issue 1, and in it, the Blackbird crashes in the Arctic with Xavier, Cyclops, and Storm, and Cyclops has no visor, so he can't open his eyes. Xavier's somewhat injured in the crash, and Storm tries to stop the weather of the Antarctic to save them from freezing, and can't, because it's just too much for her to control. The entire weather system of Earth, basically, she's trying to control.
Yeah.
And she nearly dies from the effort, and Cyclops is like wondering why she's going into hypothermia, and Xavier says, did you think that when it rains she doesn't get wet? Do you think like she's immune to weather? Do you think that she doesn't get cold? But this scene seems to imply the opposite. It seems to imply that she doesn't feel weather as intensely. Right. And I don't know the exact middle ground here, like what the reality is for her character and the impact weather has on her. Obviously, she gets wet in the rain. Like it's not like she's immune to weather. Yep. But where the line is, as far as the impact of temperature on her, is kind of interesting.
Yeah, JP makes a good point. I don't know where.
And the next thing you know, the show's going to end on 1 hour. And we got 20 minutes to get through the rest.
I'm going to make it happen. So Chet makes a good point. I do actually feel like that is correct. Something about her being injured as well. I don't know if it's a bullet or something, but something that we had read fairly recently. I think Chet's right there. I mean, Chet's usually right, so except for his spelling. Cali Comics in the house. What's going on, brother? Thanks for hanging out.
I love that comment. He says, JP, the next thing you know, you're going to compliment Cyclops.
This is there you go.
Really an alternate timeline.
Yeah. Candis, what are your thoughts here on the Pimp Cane and everything else?
I definitely did not notice that, but now I will never unsee that. It'll just be John's like in my ear, like Pimp Cane. Like, okay. Yep. I again like really like that. Kitty's been really like, people are just like, they're not dealing with her nonsense or anything. I mean, I totally get why she's feeling, teenage angst over all of this and she's mad, but yeah, I thought like, I mean, again, that was like, it was quite a long quote, but Stevie had a really good thing about just like, to summarize, of just like, life is lousy. Like, I totally feel you, but like, it's like how you cope and like how you, if you're angry, like what can you do with that anger to like do something positive with that and like change your situation. And I thought that was really good advice. And then I think Ileana was like, that's what I was trying to tell her this whole time.
Yep. Yeah. She's just in the corner. Like,
yeah. So I thought that was really good. And also it kind of like, it's good for her to hear that also, because I think it's like, okay, fine. If you really, really want to be treated equally and like an adult, then like, that's like, you got to handle it like an adult too. So I think that was like really good advice. Yeah. And then, the storm scene again came out of nowhere, and then like I was just like I watched not watched it, but read it digitally, so like it was going panel by panel, and then at one point I was like, oh, there the clothes go again. I was like, no, like I'm just used to that by now with this series. And I was just thinking of like, man, like, aren't you cold? And I was trying to find where it is, because like while I was reading it, I was literally thinking like there was something that she said that was very like, the cold never bothered me anyway, and I was like, there better be a Frozen gif on this panel. I don't remember which one it was, but it was like something like that, and I was just like, oh my god,
seriously.
But yeah, that was just really brief, and again, like I feel like every time we go back to Storm being by herself, there's always something going on with her. Like, I'm like, oh, this woman can't catch a break. Like, it's always something. Like, if she's not being bitten by Dracula or
right. Seriously,
the Brood being pregnant with the Brood. I don't know. So I'm like, okay,
been through a lot.
Now I was like, now what?
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, no, really great points.
So
I agree.
Stevie's it's a dancing injury to her knee that made her have to quit being a dancer and become a dance teacher. But I don't know if the cane is connected to that, but she had a knee injury. No gunshot wounds that I could find.
No gun. But I do remember her saying that she had to be a teacher. That was, I think, 167. I think that they touched on that for a little bit. So All right. Good. Then yeah, it's still a good call on Chet. Yeah, he says that Chet said he was a spelling bee champ here. I don't know about that. We'll see. Let's keep this going. All right. So these next set of panels right here on this particular on the left side, absolutely loved kind of going through this motion because now Kitty's like, okay, let me try a couple different approaches to see if I can win, Professor X over. And of course, the first one she starts with just trying to, use logic, showing how smart she is. She beats him in a game of chess while she rattles off a bunch of things that she's done. That wasn't working. Although I love Professor X's face on this top panel. He's like, oh, like holding his pipe, and he's just like, wow, you beat me. The next one down being, the passion and her expressing her feelings on, being part of the team and calling him pig-headed and everything else, really demanding things, and he's like not having it. The third one, just cooperation, trying to do some favors and carry things in the danger room and help out wherever she can. And then of course the third being flattery, kind of flirting a little bit and complimenting him, how handsome he is and everything else, which also isn't really working, but he's taking the compliments as they come. But I love this kind of, breakout scene here. And then on the other side, we kind of shift scenes again where we see Scott Summers, and he's got a little downtime before he goes and, visits his grandparents, which we talked about in 67, with his dad Corsair. So he has a little downtime. He goes and visits Lee, who we have not seen in a while. I'm trying to think which issue it was actually that we last saw her. If that was definitely the season, but anyways, it was nice to kind of see them catch up for a little bit. I think it wasn't it?
I was like, who is this woman?
Oh, okay, maybe it was season. It's not this season.
So then it was like the end of last season.
Volume 2. Yeah.
I didn't look it up yet, but I was like, who is this?
Wow. Okay. So yeah. So I could see.
I thought it was like 54 or 53. It was near the end of last volume.
Okay.
154.
So I did like that. Scott kind of
says
sneaks
152.
up. 52. Okay, yeah. So I like how Scott kind of sneaks up, acts as the co-worker there for a second, handing her the tools. And of course she asks, are you coming back? Like, what's the deal? It's a little bit of awkwardness, but clearly they like each other, they miss each other. They had kind of gone through some crazy stuff before, and Lee even addresses that, saying like, ever since you came into my life, things have never been the same. But she certainly misses him. So I like that we got a little bit of this scene back. And again, I guess 152 is a little whiles away now that I think about it. But Candis, what are your thoughts, and especially on some of these panels here that I just kind of read through? Kitty doing everything she can to win Professor X over. What'd you think there?
Yeah, that was really funny, and especially like reading it digitally was like going through like kind of like a sitcom or like just a movie, like going like I thought it was so funny, and then she just ends with the flattery, and I'm like, yeah, totally. That'll do it. That's the one. But yeah, so I thought that was just really really funny. But I'm like, hey, she's trying.
Yep.
Yeah, and then. Yeah, so then, like I said, I had no clue who this woman was. I was like, I still don't. But and then like now, as I'm looking at it as a whole, like it also gives me very much like 80s like Ken and Barbie vibes, walking in Malibu on the beach, like. Yeah. So I see that, but yeah, and I also was very confused because I'm like, wait, I thought we had a thing with Jean. Like, who is this? So yeah, I definitely will have to look into more about who she is because it didn't hit the same, but yeah. It also just felt kind of again like I feel like half the time like his scenes that he cut into are like just kind of random. Like, oh, okay, like they just drop him in. It was like first we had that kind of random one with Storm, then it was that, and I was like. Okay. Right.
But,
yeah.
Kind of checking in with each team member here as we kind of go through things. John, what about you? What were your thoughts here? What'd you think about seeing Lee again after not seeing for a while, coming back to the scene?
Candis is so spot on. Like she just knows, she gets it. Candis gets it. This set of panels right here is perfection, and it's followed by two of the most useless pages we will ever have in this dang book. Like you do not need these pages. They could have used give me 2 more pages of strategies that Kitty Pryde tries, and this book jumps up in grade because I don't need these 2 pages. I don't need a throwback to a 1-issue cameo girl that was like help me get over my dead girlfriend thing. I don't need any of it. Now this is like I'm offended by Scott in this scene, and I'm a Scott apologist, and I'm offended by Scott. Dude is on his way to the far frozen north to visit his grandparents, who he's never met. Makes a layover at the beach to see a booty call, and he basically just tells her, by the way, I can't stay. I'm not really interested in anything serious or long term. I traveled all the way here just to see you, but this can't go any further. How does she even respond romantically with this layover? Get out of here. Get out of here. He's going from New York to the far north. How does he end up at the beach? What layover sends this guy to the tropics? So unacceptable. And her attitude is like, you walked into my life, Scott. Things have been crazy ever since. I can't lie to you. I can't make a commitment. I'm not certain I can keep. I care too much for you. I'm sorry. Last thing I want to do is hurt you. I'll go.
I like Scott's voice.
I can't be committed to anything. I'm really not looking for a commitment right now. But it's great to see you.
He's like, so if you don't want to hook up, I guess I'll leave.
And then she's very offended by that he thought her hair was nice. If you're gonna leave her, give her something like a little bit better.
Yeah, I like how he's trying to change the subject and everything too. Like, he's like, oh, she's like, are you staying or are you gonna visit or here for a stay? She's like, oh, you look different.
Brother Joe, we're talking about the sordid love life of Scott Summers.
Brother Joe,
that's what we're talking about. That is exactly what it is. The sordid and unacceptable romantic love life. Because I'll tell you right now, Brother Joe, it's gonna get worse. It's gonna get worse before it gets better. Wait till you get to the last page of this book.
John, you're getting some praise there from Chet.
I burned Cyclops complain about his love life, and Chet likes it.
Yeah, and JP's loving every moment of this. So and also speaking of the beach and the sea, we got Captain Comics in the chat. What is up,
Ahoy?
Captain? Ahoy indeed. So all right, let's keep this going here. Another scene shift as we get now again, I don't know if you know who Amanda is.
Nope. And again, I was like, who is this now?
Yeah. So I can see this is probably not the best issue to jump in if you haven't read some of last season's episodes. So yeah, we get Amanda, who is the girlfriend of Nightcrawler, and Nightcrawler chilling there. I love his little pose. You got little Bamf hanging out, sitting there on his
so random, but I did kind of love it. Like I just appreciate it's like just a very like typical pose that we see like in a lot of pop culture.
For frame of reference, this is around the same time that Burt Reynolds was in Playgirl, infamously doing this pose butt naked. He was like one of the hottest actors at the time, and he was the exact same pose. Burt Reynolds, very famous for it.
Okay. So that puts some pieces together. I feel bad for Amanda because John, now we know what Amanda has gone through and some of the craziness that she's kind of carried.
The only woman to go on 2 dates with an X-Men.
Yes, and neither of them really working out too well. As a lot of craziness happens. Knowing all that history from Amanda, how dare Nightcrawler sneak up on her like this? I just feel like she's already had so much trauma, and for him to just like, I don't know. I mean, she's clearly spooked in the beginning when she opens the door and he just says, "Hiya, toots." Like, I'd be, I would already have a taser zapping Nightcrawler by now if I was her, just because of all the craziness she's gone through.
His little eyes just glowing in the dark, like
yeah.
They do that, right?
Well, yes. Candis, I'll send you some issues to read up on so you learn a little more about Amanda and Nightcrawler's love life.
This just intrigued me. I was like, okay, I need to know a little bit more. So for me.
So, and then we finally get back to Kitty Pryde after we've kind of checked in with everybody. Kitty Pryde is studying. She's, trying to keep up with her grades and everything else. She figures that's the only other thing she can be doing right now. In the meantime, even though she's still really sad and bummed out about not being part of the team. Meanwhile, Peter and Ileana, they're going out for a walk. They invite her. She turns them down. I like that we see some of Kitty's room in the background there. That you see some other posters and designs. We'll talk about that in a second. And then she gets a little bit of, or she notices on her radar that something's going on. That there's a cable looks to be chewed up, which at the far page there, she goes down to check out, and she's having these mind discussions with Professor X as he kind of walks her through what she should do. And he actually wants her to leave, get out of there. I'll send Peter down, it's not safe, yada, yada. So that's kind of where we leave off at this particular moment. John, anything to add here to what we had talked about? I know we already talked a little bit about Amanda and everything else, but anything else to add with as we go into some of these final scenes?
Well, I mean, it definitely makes me pity poor Candis trying to read something like this. And it's like Scott, with his weird booty call show up, Nightcrawler breaks into some lady's house and basically poses, on the couch with like gifts and covering his junk. Like the whole thing is just weird. It's just weird.
Carlos.
I did think of that too. I was like, wait, that was in the 80s, right?
What's going to happen is the second we get off of this show, Candace is going to search Burt Reynolds like on the rug and be like, oh my God, it's the exact same thing. And they've even done versions of it with Deadpool. So some of the promotional,
I've seen that.
Is Deadpool on a rug in this pose?
Mm-hmm.
It's the Burt Reynolds. It's what it is. It's it. Obviously, we have Kurt instead of Burt, but like it's the same era, and that's what they're referencing. I mean, it as a fan of Amanda and the little like Kurt having some joy in his life, like I'm happy to see this. If you didn't know what it was, it's very strange.
It could be very random,
quite odd. We also get an awesome return to the Magnum PI poster on the far panels there. And I had somebody, oh my gosh, now I'm going to struggle to forget who it was, but somebody who watches the Omni X-Men with us, always in the chat, messaged me saying that they saw Claremont at a con and got a signature and asked him if that was Magnum PI, and he said yes.
Really?
So that's Magnum PI.
Oh, curious who told you that.
I got to go back to if this person. I'm sorry if my brain is it's been a long day, but I got that message this week and I was like, what?
William Byrd says Stan Lee wants to.
In fact, it's Bobby. It's Bobby. What am I thinking? It's Bobby Delgado. I think it was Bobby. There you go. Like I'm 99% sure now that it was Bobby.
Bobby says sometimes I don't know if I'm or I don't know if I'm having mind discussions with Professor X or just talking to myself. I'm with you there, Bobby. I have that, especially at work from time to time. Let me jump into the rest of this here, and then Candace, I'm going to send it back to
Bobby.
You. Yes. There you go. Yeah, Bobby's confirmed. We get some as she wonders like what this was that chewed this, and something coming around the corner. We end up getting the, as she calls him, the dragon at first, which was the kind of the mystery of like, what was this? Who do we see here? Lurking in the background this whole time. And yes, as JP says, Lockheed. Which we also is kind of the first time that name has been used, and she names him now. Otherwise, she's calling him Dragon. But we also see the villain here, which is the how do you say their name again? The Sadri. I had it.
Sidrian Hunters.
The Sidrian Hunters, yeah. So I don't know if they added Sidrian because they called them the Sidri back in 154 initially. But yeah, I like the Sidrian Hunters. So again, I had talked about this before. They look like crabs in a way, but they're not like it's. Chet agreed. I felt like this was like lazy artwork. These little, I don't know, robotic creatures. Just like solid black lines. Anyways. Kitty gets shot in the face essentially by the beam, and this basically they've kind of created this, or they hatched. They were living downstairs based off of 154. We learn, going to some of these other panels where we get to see some of the fighting and the action scenes that come with. Where again, Professor X telling her to get out of there, she ends up deciding, no, I'm gonna try this. That initial beam to the face though did mess her up to where she couldn't use her phasing abilities, so she had to figure out other ways to go about, fighting off this villain, this alien. Of course, Lockheed had definitely been a big help for her as well in doing all this. But what did you think here, Candace, on seeing some of these action scenes, getting to see Lockheed? We're still very new to Lockheed, just in general, other than just a couple of, or one other issue really that he had shown up in prior to this. And do you recall the Sidri from it was actually episode 1 of this season that we broke down these aliens?
A little bit. Yeah. So, I mean, first of all, I was really excited about Lucky because I always call him Figment from Epcot. That they took it from there. Yeah, I really like that. I mean, just because it's like very fantasy, I love that.
Yeah.
So I've been waiting for him to show up.
Yeah.
But what I forgot what was the question. Just like kind of the fighting. Yeah. I don't know. Like honestly, like this like part didn't really do it for me. Where like I'll probably go into it more with just kind of with my rating. But like I don't know. Like I feel like right now like we've seen enough with like the Brood and everything that I was like okay like and just another alien. But it was I like though that like at least like her and Lucky were able to like fight together and even though like it was like I guess a simpler alien is is good that at least like Kitty was able to think without having to use her abilities because that's also a good thing is that you shouldn't be able to always rely on that either to get yourself out of jams. So it's like good to just see that, and I think that really shows like just how she's growing. So I like
totally.
that.
Yeah, and they highlight a little bit, or she mentions like got to use what I learned in the training in the danger room. She's kind of applying some of that here. So yeah, you're right. I mean, it's cool that I actually really like the fight scene right next to you, Candis. That pose that she's doing, kind of trying to dodge the beam and everything. Her legs kind of up in the air, kicking and all that stuff. I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, no, I'm with you there. John, what about you? Anything to add to what Candis had said about kind of these opening scenes and seeing Lockheed start to do Lockheed things?
I mean, I feel like we've read this story before. That's the problem, right?
Yeah.
The Brood stuff we've had earlier, fighting the aliens, or that weird demon issue where she's running around the mansion being chased and she's all alone having to figure out how to fight it. Like, I feel like we've done it.
Yeah.
So this doesn't add a ton to that.
Yeah.
I like the artwork just fine. I know the aliens are a little simple, but it didn't bother me too much. I like the motion and the intensity of the faces and some of the sequences.
Yeah.
But it's the rare X-Men issue, I think, where all the non-action sequences are fairly riveting and interesting and emotionally kind of captivating with Kitty. Yeah. And then the second she gets into the fight sequences, you're like, all right.
Yeah.
It's good. It's just, I just wish they'd gotten something new out of this.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed. I had thought about that, like the idea that 143, the mansion, the alien, her and the alien, and then even the idea of what we had broken down with Paul, the back end of the Giant Size X-Men reprint, where it's her and Ileana walking around the thing, and it's not that it was an alien in this case, but it's still like someone spying, and there's still a surprise at the end, like the same formula, exactly. Kind of going through. Each time. So yeah, I agree with you guys. Definitely a little overplayed. But I will say, like I said, like the action scenes, I did like to see Kitty, kind of doing her thing combat wise.
Yeah. I liked seeing her room again too. Like I love that we always get little glimpses and I feel like it's like me if I was in the 80s, like what my room would have been like. Yeah, and I also was just laughing because if you look at her calendar, I swear it's ET.
Oh yeah,
I'm pretty sure. I was like trying to look who it was, and then I saw it. I'm like, oh my god, is that E.T.? If you look, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure because it's like an alien thing holding a phone. I was like, oh my god,
it does look like E.T. And then there's obviously Felix the cat.
The biggest Winnie the Pooh I've ever seen.
Yep.
Do you know what the sign next to the calendar means, John? The Legion eats.
Oh yeah, I noticed that.
Oh, quiche. Okay,
yeah. Quiche.
I don't know what that means. That's maybe somebody in the chat does. No.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Food for something. All right, before we get towards the end here, I saw Kenneth Bird in the chat. I want to say a quick hello to Kenneth. Thanks for hanging out, man. Chet says I feel like after 143, the demon issue. It's been 25 kitty books. Claremont overdid the presence and importance. Interesting. So even Williams says even if it feels done before, fan turnover was still a thing back then. Readers leaving and new ones coming in. That's fair. Yeah. So just trying to captivate those that are giving the book a shot and trying to keep those or new ones coming in. I could see that. So all right, let's get to the end here before we move into everything else. So, of course, there's another beam that comes right at her. It gets deflected by Colossus, who, Professor X did call on him, and he even clarifies that here. So, perfect timing for Peter to come in, kind of help with the rest of it. And then, as Peter makes a good point, like, we got to find the nest. We got to take that nest out before any more of these get out of control. And meanwhile, Lockheed comes in, reminded me of my dogs, kind of. Yeah, just kind of hobbling around, like, clearly Lockheed did some violent things and is very happy about it. So that was that. She takes care of the aliens. They get to kind of meet Lockheed for the first time. And the big news is after Professor X has seen all this and really seeing in action, this is, in a way, he even says, like, I haven't really seen you in action before this, even though she has been in a lot.
So wait. Like, so you're saying you made a judgment call based on you're admitting no information went into this decision, no facts, no history, no knowledge. You didn't ask any of the you're just opinionating this. You're not actually, okay, gotcha. Yeah. I got your number now. You jerk.
Very, very true. Yeah, he's come around now that he realizes that she can do a thing or two and protecting herself, and clearly has a lot more abilities than he had realized. So yeah, he had come around and says, as long as you keep up with your grades. I like that he clarifies, got to keep up with your grades, but fine, you can kind of be an interim of joining the team on certain things. So I think that's a fair trade-off for her. And Lockheed's in the picture now, so that's cool. Meanwhile, one last flashback as we end the book. On the far side here, you get to see that the Summers boys and the dad are going up to Alaska to go see their grandparents, and we get this woman who Summers is questioning as they get closer, and she starts to ask and say, "Oh, are you the Summers guys?" And it's Madeline Pryor who shows up at the very end. Scott seems to be very nervous and says her voice, her face, it can't be, it's impossible. And she says, "Welcome to Alaska. My name is Madeline Pryor." This is the first time we're being introduced to her that I know of. And I was a little confused here for sure. Mm-hmm. John, can you explain some things?
Well, I'm not going to spoil anything.
Don't spoil.
I will say our guy has a type. It may just be that wearing red goggles that long makes you like all redheads. I don't know if that's a thing. But yeah, he clearly has a type, and clearly got over the last girl 5-6 pages back in a fairly short period of time. I'm still questioning the flight plan that sent them to like Miami Beach and then to Alaska. I don't necessarily understand that flight plan.
He had free miles, probably, is what happened.
Right. That's what it is.
That's it.
You can't control where they take you. You just go. It's not like they had like a giant jet at the mansion, or that their dad has a spaceship. You don't have any of that. We got to go where they take us.
Yeah, no, definitely not any of those reasons. All right, Candis, what were your thoughts there on kind of the end action scenes? Kitty Pryde getting back, welcomed onto the team again as Professor X takes it all back, and then of course this random ending of Madeline Pryor.
Yeah. So this again will contribute to my feelings about just like my overall grade with it. But yeah, like I was reading through the end scene, and then it got to the point where then Colossus shows up, and then Lucky just eats the rest of them, and I was like, oh, that's it.
Yeah.
I was just like, I thought we were gonna like have like a bigger build up, because I know this is supposed to be like, I was like, oh, I'm sure Kitty's like, this is gonna be like how she gets back in, but I'm like, I expected more. So then it was just kind of like, that's why, the whole thing with Professor X, I was like, okay, so all the stuff that has happened in previous like issues, like she did, it was way crazier situations that she had to help out with. Yeah. And this was like, she had Colossus's help, and Lockheed ate the rest of them. Like, and I mean, it was a group effort, I guess, but I just was like, how is like this what changes your mind in comparison to everything else that she's done? So, but I was like, okay, at least she's back in.
Right. Take what you can get, I guess, right?
Yeah. And then again, okay, I have heard of Madeline Pryor, but again, I was like, okay, I know this is someone I know of her, but I still have no clue who this is. just another 3 women in this thing. I barely know who you are. But I'm just rolling with it. But at least I've heard of her. I just don't know much.
So I'm with you with Madeline Pryor. I know the name. I know that she's been in a lot of other things, and I don't fully recall all the different stories and things that she's kind of turned into. I know that she does become another character later on, but again, haven't really read much. And so for me, as like this is my first time reading this issue, you know, I definitely would just be scratching my head and being like, well, who's that? Now, granted, the other women that we've talked about, I knew them because of reading earlier issues, but this last one here definitely kind of threw you off. But so in a way, threw me off in where I'm like, ooh, like okay, like what is happening, and I need to see the next issue. So it definitely would have me hooked, just out of curiosity as to what is going on. Meanwhile, the team seems to be like split up in a bunch of different directions. So ending on this note is definitely a cliffhanger of its own. But yeah, we essentially get to see that she joins the team again, Kitty Pryde, which is great. I wanted to highlight JP also pretty much agreeing with you guys and saying which is why Professor is so wrong in this as a whole. This changes his mind when she has already done so much more than this, which means his original decision wasn't based on principle, just fear. Yeah. Also agreed. JP Lockheed does rule. Agreed with that as well. So yeah, Ryan says Madeline Pryor definitely looks familiar. I'm sure others as well. Familiar. Jackson Roy Kirk. Time for a new layover, as he says. William says, as much as I love Paul Smith's art, Maddie doesn't really look like who she's supposed to look like. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I'll have to see, or I'll have to recall that later when we move onward. So is that right? Roy Kirk says, I think we see Maddie in Avengers 10. Is that where did we see that?
Really?
So he's talking about this panel, which we kind of made reference to, where there's a little nun at the hospital and the little girl who's in front of this little girl right here at the bottom, who's in front of the nun, says, I'm Maddie Pryor. I've been here for a few days or whatever. I've been sick. I'm better now. And I don't think there's ever been confirmation that that's the same character.
Right.
And she certainly doesn't have red hair.
But
it is something that people do talk about for sure.
How many Maddie Pryors are there though? I mean, I guess there can be multiple. Interesting. Okay. So, well, I have my annual 10. So it's another.
This book will not require 2 hours.
More bonus. Yeah. No. So, final thoughts here, and one thing too. Actually, I totally forgot to put this screenshot in. I'm going to hold this up. Actually, let's talk about our overall grade before I go into that. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about. The last panel page. We'll talk about after.
Yeah.
So, but before that, so John, final thoughts here. How would you grade this? What were your general thoughts at the end of this?
I mean, it's a roller coaster ride. There's stuff that I absolutely love. Pretty much anything with Kitty, and certainly the stuff with Ileana. And there's stuff that it's just a little weaker. That doesn't really rise to the same level. Overall, I'd probably give it a 7.5, 7.5. Sounds fair to me. There are stuff that I really just think they could have done without. But I think it works for what it is, and as a story that highlights some great qualities of Kitty Pryde, it works well. I do think it's repetitive of stuff we've seen before, and that's some of the frustrations.
Yeah, fair. Candis, what about you? What did you think? Final thoughts and how would you grade this?
Yeah, I literally have the same feelings. Like there was a lot of parts that were really strong as far as like a lot of the like advice that Kitty gets, and like there's a lot of really good like quotes and things. But yeah, there's quite a bit of like random things that happen. I mean, extra points for Lockheed, I'll take that. And I do love having a Kitty Pryde issue, but I think I was like hoping for a little, like I was saying, like a little bit more for that ending, that I was just a little disappointed. I mean, I guess I'm not like shocked it was like abrupt, because sometimes it can be that way. Yeah. But again, like I thought compared to so many other issues, like I thought it like the villain of the story was just kind of weak for me, and just again like a little redundant. So like that's where it kind of lost me, like especially, but where I was like, oh, that's it. But yeah, I like it overall. But I think I'm pretty much like I'm at a 7, but like 0.5 extra for Lockheed. So I'm like where you are, John.
Nice. Well
And I
said.
would like to get it as at least on the lower end because of the cover alone. I do like that.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
For sure.
So I think this is a little higher for me. I'm going to put it on an 8. Ultimately, I really like these. I mean, and I'll call it is a filler issue, is what I think ultimately. But I like these filler issues, and I like seeing other aspects of the team, especially after we just came off of a lot of heavy reading, a lot of heavy events, and especially the Brood. That was such a long, set of books that we had just gone through, and so everyone dealing with the same issue throughout those books. I like the little breathable time period here where everyone's kind of they go off and do their own thing. They visit family or friends, or Scott in this case, multiple women, all these different things. But I just like seeing, and even Nightcrawler doing his thing. Like I like seeing all these little check-ins. I also like that they bring back some characters that we haven't seen in a while, like Lee and Amanda. So I like those characters, and just tying that in to just make sense with things we've read in the past, which I ultimately just love about comics that do that kind of thing. So we've grown so closely to all these characters, and their tie-ins, or their sub characters that they're friends with. It's nice to see them. Even Stevie being in this one again, I like that. So for me, between that, also the artwork, just in general, I thought there were some really great panels here. I thought the back and forth with Professor X and Kitty, I thought that was really well done. The cover too, like that definitely plays a factor for me. And, I feel like I need to get this in an even higher grade. I think the one I have here, I paid $4 for, and I think now it's like a $20 to $30 book, raw nowadays. And this is fairly nice condition. So
if you upgrade, send it.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I'll keep you in mind, Candice. I'll keep you in mind. So yeah, I'm gonna go with an 8. I do want to highlight a couple other people's. I like when everyone else puts their votes in. So Chet says weak 7.0. That's fair. JP says get rid of Scott, and it's a great book. With Womanizer Scott, 8.0. All right, yeah. So JP would go even higher if Scott wasn't in the book. That's fair as well. So, all right, cool. So I want to hold this up, and then we'll get into the money and then the questions, and then we'll wrap things up. So I'm just gonna let me open this page here. So the thing I'm referring to is Kitty's costume corner. I forgot to put this in.
Yeah.
But there it is. We get a little write-up here on some of the different. These are 3 costumes that were selected. This is by the readers, right?
Yeah. 3 different readers.
Yeah. So I'll just hold this up for a second. But just a nice little extra piece that's added in here. I know we joke all the time about Kitty's different costumes, so I think it's funny that they, to a degree, address it, or at least they talk a little bit about it. Because she definitely goes through a lot of different costume change-ups. So if you guys have the issue, definitely check it out. And it's in the back. It is in the omnibus, and it is in the hardcover, or I'm sorry, in the digital version. At least for mine, it was for a Marvel Unlimited. I wanted to ask you, Candice, was it in your copy as well?
Yeah, I did have that, and that was like a fun little thing. Recently I've been reading a lot of like different indies, and me and Haley were actually reading Katie Keene, which is from Archie, and they actually were showing that was something that's the one that we're reading is also from the 80s, and they were also doing something like that where they would have like readers like send in like designs for her because she was a fashion designer, and then you would have like all these different designs like each issue. So I thought that was a cool thing. That was kind of weird about how they had to put a K for each like word, but okay. But I like that. I kind of like, part of me like wishes like they had more of that for her, because she has so many like, I mean, even not if it was like from the fans, but like she has so many cool like costumes like in each of it. I don't know. I just like to see like a splash page of like all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's a good point. That would be cool.
It's fun.
Yeah, for sure. John, any other thoughts there with the Kitty's costume?
I mean, they're no more ridiculous than any of the ones where she's wearing roller skates or whatever. I think it's just the fun of, she's a teenager. She's experimenting with her look. I mean, can you imagine being a superhero teenager with like, you would go through so many possible, like, no, now I'm going to be I got a new name. I got a new costume. Check this out. So I respect that attitude. And I do like, we've never really shouted out Louise Jones. Louise Simonson is how most people know her. She's the editor of a lot of Claremont's X-Men, this particular portion. and she's the one who signs the bottom of that page where it says Louise. That's her. She went by Louise Jones, and then she met her husband Walt Simonson, the famous artist who did like a ton of Thor, like all the Beta Ray Bill stories. He was writer and artist on on Thor. And then she, of course, became Louise Simonson. She also was a great writer. She wrote a ton of X Factor. She created Apocalypse. She's a huge fingerprint on the history of mutants and Marvel and X-Men specifically. So it's just kind of cool to see her linked here. And a lot of times, if you go to cons, you'll see a Simonson like table. Like when I was at Baltimore, I saw both of them there. It was really cool.
Nice. That is very cool.
Yeah. I think they're both still alive. So I'm going to be really sad if one of them is not alive anymore, but I think they're both still alive.
Yeah. Interesting.
I'm going to check right now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You double check. By the way, just want to go back for a sec. So William Bird said Claremont said that it isn't the same girl talking about Madeline Pride from the annual 10. So he's saying that Claremont clarified that. Roy Kirk says maybe Claremont just liked the name, perhaps. Yeah, very could be possible. Mark Robinson in the house. What is going on, Mark? Hope you're doing good. He says, any idea what happened to the artist Paul Smith? He was a great X-Men artist. Good question. Nothing that I know of. I mean, I'm just learning his work for the first time as we read through these in this season. So, but I agree. His artwork has definitely grown on me, and definitely has some strong points to it for sure. And it's unique, stands out to him. William Bird said that he met Louise at a con. She is genuinely as nice as everyone says. That's always nice to hear.
Yes,
as well.
I had a really nice chat with her and her husband at Baltimore. So I'm right; they're both still alive.
Yeah,
yes.
Nice. Okay. Good call, John. Good call. All right, let's get to the numbers here, and then we'll wrap up with the questions, and we'll get everybody out of here. So, quick few elements. I had put first appearance of Madeline Pryor here for what we had just been talking about. Also, the first mention of the name Lockheed. As we see this. Oh, and I forgot to point this out earlier, but this is technically a Christmas issue. It was brought up like twice. The theme of Christmas, even though there was nothing else related other than snow being part of it. So I had to just put that here as well. So it's another reason for me to want to own this. But yeah, it was Scott who said when he surprises Lee with the tool, he says Merry Christmas. And then I think later with Peter and Ileana, they were talking about when they were going.
I thought he was just saying that, like, how people just say it, like, "Hey, here's your present," like.
No, several people. There were at least 2 times that I had read Christmas in this. So, anyways, for me, it's a Christmas issue. If you know me, you know that I love my Christmas issues. Yeah. So that's another reason that I will own this book. Is strictly for
when she fought the demon, it was a Christmas issue too.
Totally,
remember 143. The Christmas tree in the background, and she's like,
big time Christmas. Yep, I am with you.
She's fought 2 monsters at Christmas now.
Just
not a good
for the holidays. No, it's not. All right, so the numbers here, you got a 9. There is one 9.9 out there. I would love to own the 9.9 in this book. Last sold in 2019 for $1,200. Pretty up there for a 9.9 though. At this era, in the early 80s books, I think that'd be nice to own. The 9.8s, 9.8s go for
Chet disagrees. 9.9, $1,200. Nah.
The 9.8s are $300 fair market value. Again, these numbers are based off of Go Collect. It quickly drops down to $55 for a 9.6. So I also wouldn't mind just owning a 9.6 for way less. As well. So interesting stuff there. I know, John, you have a couple a raw copy. Candis, you don't own a copy of this yet? Is that correct?
No.
Okay, so it's on the list. It's on the hunt list.
Yes.
And John has his there. So
cool. You got the direct edition. I got the newsstand. We got we're all good. Yep. We got it all covered.
Nice. All right, cool. Let's get into some of the questions here as we wrap things up. So again, as you guys know, we're asking questions based on last issue, which was God Loves Man Kills, that we broke down So if you're familiar with that epic read that John's holding right there, beautiful copy signed, get ready because we have a couple questions. If you're the first or second person to answer these questions correctly, you'll get your name on the board for what we raffle off at the end of the year, as I mentioned earlier, or end of the season. And then also we're looking for a funny answer. So if you can make Candis laugh, she's going to pick the funniest answer for each of these questions. So, they don't have to be correct. They could be wrong. They could be sarcastic, whatever you want. Just try to make Candis laugh. So, John, I'm going to pass it to you first. What is your first question?
So last issue, the antagonist that they were dealing with was William Stryker, a religious nut who was using his faith to basically try to slaughter the mutants. Lots of stuff went down, lots of shenanigans, lots of crazy things. And I've picked one. And I think if you've read the issue and you know the story, this is the one. There are a lot of crazy things William Stryker does and his team does on his behalf. But if you read that book, what is the craziest thing? The absolutely most bonker thing William Stryker does?
Yeah, and there's a lot. There's a lot.
But this is the one that broke me. Like you read this part and you're like,
yeah.
What?
Yeah, and it was a heavy read overall last issue, last episode.
The best part about this is going to be all the possible true answers. There's so many things that
there are definitely a lot of opportunities.
Like,
yikes.
I'm waiting.
Yeah,
JP says says Cyclops doesn't suck. There you go.
Yeah,
Yikes. Man. All right. I think I got the two correct ones that I said to Justin.
Yeah.
The guy has a baby that's like deformed and he kills it. And then his wife asks what happened to my baby and he kills her too.
So bad.
Very dark.
Cracked. That guy is just cracked right down the middle. So that's Lasso, Point, and Chet Scotland. I checked spelling there. You're good.
Yep. Now this is a good answer too. That
it's not a wrong answer.
I would say technically, he gave the order essentially to have that done, even though it wasn't
he sent the purifiers out to do his bidding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, another very very heavy scene.
Got two more comedy answers so far.
Let's see. So so we have he said he's going to build a wall around Krakoa.
That's funny.
Didn't take the opportunity to see Diana Ross at Central Park. Yeah, that's
a sin, is what that is.
Missed opportunity. He eats Wolverine's sandwich, bringing back the sandwich. I don't know, Candis. I don't know if Candis knows the sandwich joke from.
I know you. Week. I've heard you say it before, but not at this point. I just know it now. Like we just usually a joke about it. I forgot what it was.
It's become meta.
We'll have to clip that, John, and just throw that up once in a while.
I don't remember.
It's such a great moment where
we'll have a sandwich.
Stomach causes the Blackbird to crash.
Pretty much.
That's basically the simplistic version of it.
Wore one of Kitty's costumes.
Stryker as Ariel.
One of the darkest things Stryker did last issue was that he wore one of Kitty's costumes.
All right, last one from Chet.
Chet says, sandwiches do go great with Rachel dinners. Yes.
All right. Yes. Do you have a favorite that you want to pick there, Candis?
Yeah, I'm gonna give it to Bobby for the wall around Krakoa.
There you go, Bobby. Nice job. Awesome. By the way, Mark, I appreciate you, man. I know it's been a while since I've done those shows, but
that was a great series. One day. But it's a lot. It's a lot. I know. Prepping all that stuff.
Definitely.
I know how that goes.
All right. My first question is, what did Vampire Kitty do to Professor X in his nightmare last issue? Last issue, Professor X, he had gone through a series of heavier events, one being this dark nightmare, some really wicked artwork that we had seen, creative artwork. And something happened to him there, something that Kitty Pryde did to him. Looking for the correct answer, of course, twice, and then looking for one funny answer as well. So, let's see what you got. But
I want to remind everybody, we're going to sadly, due to my fault, we're going to be off next week.
Good call.
It'll be 2 weeks till we're back. My school decided to put on an event, open house next Tuesday, and I can't force them. I have a little bit of power at my school, not enough to change the night of the open house for my YouTube show.
I just picture you bringing that up in the meeting, and the principal's like, who's this guy?
Everybody good? Everybody good for Tuesday? I have this YouTube live stream where we read X-Men. Can we move to another night?
I'd love to see that.
So, just FYI. Hey, Tim Stacey's in the chat.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of, we just mentioned him earlier when we were first getting started. What is up, Tim? If you guys are not following Tim, make sure you do so. As we mentioned earlier, he is our featured artist of the season. We're going to have a commission piece that we're going to give away that Tim Stacey is going to work on. So definitely check out his work. Like I said, John and I are coming up with the idea soon for Tim to start working on, and we can't wait to have that as something to give away. And so as we ask these questions, again, make sure you're answering them, making sure that you're making our guests laugh to get your name on the board to potentially win Tim's stuff. So Tim, good to see you, man. All right, so let's see. There's some questions. So I see some answers.
So far, there's one correct answer. You don't have two yet. But the journey to it is pretty flipping phenomenal. It's a roller coaster. The emotional journey to find the answer.
So again, just to clarify, the question is, what did Vampire Kitty do to Professor X in his nightmare last episode?
Now you got two.
So okay, so we'll go through here. So Bobby says, can you use the election money to pay off a mutant porn star?
I'm just curious, which mutant is the porn star? Like, is there a mutant? There's a mutant. I mean, I know we have mutant like professional singers, and I know we've got some pretty popular mutants. I don't know about
Nightcrawler moonlighting. I mean,
we saw him
little Bamf
in the pose,
little Bamf there, yeah. Yankees out heart. Chet loves the Yankees. I know he can't.
Yankees out heart.
Yankees out heart.
Not only is there a spelling mistake, there's you're missing 2-3 words.
Yeah, I don't think he's missing anything, John. Yankees out heart. I'm going.
Yankees out heart. So, Yankees out heart. Oh, Yankees out heart.
Kissed him smooch.
Quizzed him smooch.
Oh man.
Strong spelling so far.
Made him her Renfield.
That's a Dracula joke.
Okay. I was like
Dracula's assistant, who he promised to turn into a vampire, but never did, and he drove him insane doing jobs for him during the daytime. Renfield. There's actually a TV show coming up called Renfield where they use that character. Got it. All right. So let me, as I'm still scrolling through some of these. I see. So I want to just point out the correct ones here before I go any further. So Chet had said yanked out heart. The band Heart. He took he went and got a record from Heart and yanked it out of the collection. He yanked out the band Heart.
Exactly. Did it? He did clarify phased his heart out, which is also true. Okay. So that's one I'll take. The other one, let's see. Before I go back into the funny ones, Ryan says
that's the other
tore
one.
out his the heart. Yep.
So
well said there. JP said told everyone he is a jerk, which also Bobby had put before that. She called him a jerk. Let's see. Scrolling through, did I miss any more there? Pulled on his heartstrings. It's kind of accurate.
It's metaphorical
kind of
in a very dark, very literal way, though. Yeah, very dark and literal way.
He does not mean it figuratively.
Mark says, "John, tell your principal, screw them kids. I got YouTubing to do."
Yep.
There you go.
I called my principal a jerk, right? Just going to be like,
John's
Professor X is a jerk. Won't let me YouTube.
Chet says, "I'm a frantic typer. I rush. Causes bad spelling."
Is that an apostrophe R? Are you chode?
Typer.
Is that chod?
You have to really go out of your way to.
I'm a frantic chodder.
I don't know. Let's see. Made him watch the third X-Men movie. Oh, shots fired.
That's just mean. That's mean. Not to the X-Men. I'm saying for him to do. That's a mean thing for him to do.
Let's see. Let everyone know he was peeping on her and Ileana. Yeah,
That's fair.
He was. Barracuda is a song I hear. Candis, any options here that you'd like to choose as your funniest answer of the bunch?
I mean, I kind of have two if we could do that.
Right,
okay, so
let's do it.
I'm giving another one to Bobby. It's pretty funny.
Yeah,
he's consistent.
But I do appreciate Chet's Yankees at heart.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
he gets a spelling mistake award.
Yeah,
oh,
the whole like progression.
Shit. Oh, it worked out. It just worked out.
That's hilarious.
All right, so we'll give one to Bobby and Chet. There you go. Nicely done, John. What is your?
We try not to reward bad behavior. You're just going to get more bad spelling from him.
It's entertaining though.
So at one point in the story, the Purifiers attack Xavier, Storm, and Cyclops while they're in their car. They blow up the car, they shoot them, and then stage it to make it look like they died. But they didn't really. Instead, they were kidnapped and they're being used in another one of his crazy things, in this experiment. My question is, how does Wolverine know that it was staged? How does Wolverine know that they're still alive? Because can't fool Wolverine. Can't fool that Logan as long as he's not been drinking his brew.
Bobby, you are on fire, my
I don't even
friend.
think I remember that, to be honest.
Unintentional humor. That's how he does it. First three answers are all correct. Yeah, he smells them. So he smells it.
The first one I have on my end is Magic Lasso.
Correct.
Really?
Followed by a correct spelling of from Chet.
Scent. The scent of a woman. There it is. Correct and correct. Sorry, JP. A little too slow.
He just got you.
Usually coming in third place makes you win because Chet will spell it wrong, but didn't work out this time.
Ryan said, checked his email. He just simply checked his email.
Yeah, if you look, you just find it. Hey, we're not dead yet. Okay.
Yeah, we're good.
I don't know if they had email though.
Probably.
We got East Bay Comics in the house as well. 3 amazing, beautiful people. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
He's not talking about John, so it must be 1, 2, and 3.
Well, you're on the screen twice. Look, there you are in the corner.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Let's see. JP says Logan would know if anyone other than him got to kill Scott.
Don't take my joy away from me.
Yeah, if anyone's doing it, it's me. He just came from seeing David Copperfield's show. There you go, Chet.
It's an illusion.
All right. Any other funny ones here? Get them in now. It says Wolverine be knowing things. Yeah, Bobby.
He just knows.
He just
knows.
He just knows. JP says knows he is not lucky enough to get rid of both Chuck and Scott.
I mean, that would really be a lucky moment in the history of the X-Men. Going 2 for 2.
Boom. Candis, any of these here you want to pick for a funny answer?
Definitely JP jabbing at Scott.
Boom. All right. There you go.
I appreciate it.
He's consistent.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Right on brand. All right. My last question here, and then we'll get out of here. What venue did Stryker give his final sermon at the last chapter of the book? As we wound down on God Loves Man Kills, where were they? What was the name of the venue that Stryker was when he gave his sermon in the last chapter of God Loves Man Kills? I already see the correct answer twice.
Mm-hmm.
Chet says Madison Square Garden. That is correct. MSG, and Ryan
the
also
MSG
to follow. Yes, there you go.
Poor Old Wolf didn't show tonight, and he's now getting smoked.
Oh yeah, that's right. Huge opportunity.
He was in the lead. Now he's 3 down.
Damn.
No,
hate to
I'm
see
not
it.
down there either. So
Hate to see it. Yeah.
Yeah, right. You still got Bobby DeLaGhetto by 1 point, though. So you can keep Bobby one layer behind you.
Oh, see, you gave him a bunch.
Let's take away those points.
Yeah, you gave him a bunch already, Candis.
No.
She's like, wait, this backfired.
No, well deserved. Always fine.
Just shy. They just beat you there, East Bay. Just beat you to the punch. But we are looking for a funny answer. So if you have something funny to share to answer that question to make Candis laugh, please share it with us. JP says Rachel Dinners. All right, solid answer. Rachel's
Diner.
Yeah, which I think Rachel Dinners was also last season, right, John?
Yes.
Okay, so Candis, last year, this is a Chet misspelling.
Yes.
There was a question where the answer was Rachel Summers, and Chet frantically typed out Rachel Dinners. And
well, it's spell checked it. So if you type Summers, it'll often check it to Dinners. I don't know why, because none of those letters seem to match correctly. But
yeah. So then the extra funny part with Rachel Dinners is the fact that 2 episodes ago, when we broke down the cover with Storm, the vampire issue that John has 9-8, we actually literally got a dinner from a character named Rachel.
Yeah,
Rachel Van Helsing. Yeah, we're like, oh my! So that's where all that came in.
Very meta.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't know. I was just going with the joke. But I was like, now it makes sense. Okay.
Now it makes sense. Yeah.
I really thought it
really though. It doesn't really make
Rachel
sense.
Dinners.
Something in this story, but okay.
That's why that's such a special. That's a special book. That's why it's good to get it as a 9-8 because there is the first appearance of Rachel's dinner. Let's see. Bobby says Marvin Gardens. JP says school PTA meeting.
Those places are dangerous these days. Be careful.
Yeah,
take your life in your own hands.
Remember the question is where was the last sermon? See, Ryan says I had a feeling he wasn't going to hire a Disco Dazzler to warm up the crowd. Yeah, no Disco Dazzler there. Costco's. Bobby says as he's giving his last sermon. East Bay says Joel Osteen mega church in Texas. I mean, that's definitely a large stage. So if there's anywhere to give a sermon, that might be the place. So let's see. Chet Spellchecks gets mad at him since it's so overworked. Yeah, you're absolutely right there, Jackson Roy Kirk. Let's see. Burn it to the ground. To be honest, that guy sucks. Yeah, we agree. He was a crazy. Let's see. He was the opening act. Bobby says for Diana Ross. Boom. There you go.
Life goals.
Yeah. Domino's. Kevin says. He was giving the sermon at Domino's.
In Domino's, I feel like Domino's is a place to get the pizza.
I
want to meet a person
that much.
I've never met somebody who ate at Domino's.
We have such better pizzas here.
Good point. It's a good point. Ryan says Funky Town. There you go. Take me to Funky Town.
AGH.
Alex in the house, and he answers Mohegan Sun as good place as any. I agree, Alex. Good answer too. Mohegan Sun. We'll hopefully be able to see you there at Turficon coming up this summer. So Mark says Joel Osteen is a huge beauty hater. Facts. Hashtag facts. Candis, anything here that you'd like to select as your funniest answer of the question here on question 4?
I'm gonna give it to East Bay.
All right. There you go. Joel Osteen, mega church in Texas. Love it. Good stuff. East Bay, you are on the board.
Yeah, his first one.
Yay.
Oh, perfect. So again, those we're going to take all those names, throw them on a board. We'll do a randomizer at the end of the season, which is coming up in June. So be ready. We're going to have a ton of giveaways. As we saw Tim Stacey in the chat, he's going to be doing a commission piece as well. We're going to give that away. We have some books, some other goodies. It's going to be a lot of fun. So be sure to mark that and come back again next week, or not next week because we're taking a brief break. But the week after that, we'll be back on John's channel. So make sure you're subbed up to John for that. 9:00 Eastern, as always. And again, want to thank you so much, Candis, for joining us, being part of the show again, second time around this season. Definitely want to have you back again sometime. So appreciate you being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, I've been really enjoying reading this with you guys. So
yeah,
hopefully a fun issue.
Awesome. Yeah, heck yeah. I'm gonna send you some other issues to check out. So fill in some of the gaps there for this issue.
You can look up up 3 people now.
yeah. East Bay's crying now. He says, "I love you." There you go. Aww. All the love here on the X-Men. All right, gang. Roy Kirk says, if you don't see me here next week, then I got held up at my next layover. There you go. We'll end the show with that. Make sure you're following Candis. I put her information in the description below. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Appreciate everybody hanging out. Smash that like button on the way out. Until next time, we will talk to you later.